Saoirse. It's been a couple of weeks since we put a video out, but I've had untold problems with our camera equipment. It's just been possessed, and we have really been struggling to get anything to work other than my cell phone. So a lot of today's video is taken on the cell phone, which is not great in so much as we have a lot of background wind noise, so apologies for that. I've tried to edit it out as much as I can, but not having much luck with that. And today we have a very wavy, noisy day outside. The waves are smashing against the side of the boat, so I've got a little bit of noise here today as well. But I wanted to get this video out because it's been so long since we put one out. This video covers a trip we did to Kraalbaai, which is in the West Coast National Park, just across the lagoon from where we are now. It's a beautiful area, and it was our first trip out as solo sailors. Well, so much as Robin, myself and Denver alone, without anybody with us, which is a very, very basic sail in the grand scheme of what's to come. But it was our first one alone, and we also had to navigate through the very, very shallow channels that is the entrance to Kraalbaai, and we managed that all very well. It was a lovely weekend. We had good and bad weather. We had a bit of a mishap when Denver took a visitor back to the dock on the day that we had the very bad weather, and on the way back to the boat was hit by a rogue wave from behind, and it lifted the dinghy's motor off, so that gave him quite a fright, and he had to stop in the midst of crazy wind and very big waves and get that all seated back inside on the boat again. So we've got to see to getting that sorted out. Don't want that happening again. He also did a bit of a bottom clean around the bottom of the boat whilst we were there, and apart from that we just did a really nice long walk. Long time since we got any decent exercise, so that was fun. But come along and have a look at the beauty of Kraalbaai with us for this week. So it's an exciting day. We are embarking on our very first ever solo trip adventure, only across the lagoon to Kraalbaai, but it'll be our first time out entirely alone. It comes with its challenges. There's a section of very, very shallow water, so it's going to be a test on our nerves, getting through all the little shallow channels and then ending up at Kraalbaai. So that's what we're very excitedly doing now. Robin and Denver are over there getting things ready, and we are being welcomed by a beautiful sunrise. Lovely sunrise and lovely conditions. Super calm, still conditions, so there's not going to be much sailing today, but it's perfect for our first attempt through all those narrow channels because we'll be motoring and we'll have total control. What are you busy with?
Just trying to figure out how we're going to hook this best.
Still battling a bit with our bridle system. Overthinking things as usual, getting planned and sorted before we get to the other side. What are we struggling with? We're struggling to keep the chain in the bridle when we drop it.
As the bridle drops, the chain tends to bounce off, the hook tends to bounce off.
Get to the bottom of it. Okay, so we've got a plan of action in place. We're going to be doing what?
Right, you're going to be helming.
Okay.
Put your port engine into forward, and you're going to swing the port nose around. So we clear the yacht in front of us. Behind us is okay, so we'll just swing you around to the starboard side and then go straight out.
Okay, and you and Denver are going to drop the mooring ball.
Yep.
Okay, let's do
stand
this.
up.
breakfast. Way over there we see there's a ship coming out. There's two tugs in the front waiting to pick him up. I'm just going to throttle back and let him do his thing and get in the way in the channel.
The oil carrier that's coming into harbour is sitting very low in the water, so he's busy pumping water up from his bilges. So I'm assuming that he's trying to dump all his water ballast.
So the tugs are now doing their bit. The ship's turned and he's going to be reversed back over there. And once he's done, we can cross the ship into. Saldana Port Control, Saldana Port Control. This is sailing yacht Saoirse, requesting permission to cross from north to south.
Can I get the name of the yacht? Name of the yacht what?
Sailing yacht Saoirse.
Sailing yacht Saoirse, Saldana Port Control. We are busy docking the tanker. Please keep clear from the vessel over.
Yes, we'll be very careful. Thank you. Standing by on channel 12. Between those poles there, is that right? Took us about 2 hours to get to Kraalbaai. We managed to navigate the channels quite successfully, going through areas that at some stages were as little as 0.4 meter below our keel. So when we got to Kraalbaai, instead of free, we were very chuffed with ourselves. After setting our anchor, we had a nice cup of coffee to get warmed up again, and then Denver and I headed ashore. We wanted to try and find a high spot to see if we could get our internet connected. We weren't very successful with that, but it did give us a chance to have a walk around and look at the scenery before heading back to Saoirse. At the end of the day, we got to watch an amazing sunset, have a good relaxing evening, and slept like babies. I must admit, I haven't been much of a sunrise kind of girl the last couple of months. With winter it has just been so cold in the morning. But being out in nature like this, nature has her own alarm clock and just makes you aware, and you have to get up and experience it. Even Cleo did. The three of us decided we'd go for a decent walk. It's been months since any of us did any decent exercise, with being so busy on the boat. So we headed ashore and thought we would just head over the top of the verge to see the Atlantic Ocean on the other side. We were going to do a walk all the way to the ocean the next day when Tony Book and his family arrived. Turned out we couldn't do that because of the terrible weather we had, but at least we got in a really nice walk on this day. This has been one of the most awesome walks. We came ashore just up from there and we went around on the road across to the ocean on the other side, and then came back and thought, oh, we'll walk along the beach, forgetting that it's high tide. So we are paddling pretty much to get back, but it's absolutely beautiful here, just stunning. nearly back at our destination. There's Saoirse over there. We've got to get a little way further up the beach to find our dinghy. They've got miserable faces looking at me because I've been taking so long doing all the videoing. It's been quite a walk, but absolutely beautiful. Time to head back to Saoirse. Then was decided to go down and have a look at the underside of the boat. Our speed transducer stopped working, so something's brewing in that. And since being at Saldanha, we've got a really mucky black buildup around the water line of the boat. It really looks quite nasty. So he's going to see if he can get that off and just have a general look at everything underneath and see how everything's looking under there. So this is what Denver's found under the boat. Thousands of these little barnacles. Unfortunately, the anti-foul was painted on out of the water, and we didn't have we went according to the markings of the previous owner, and it turns out in the water the anti-foul is way too low. So on our next haul out we're going to have to redo it. But in the meantime we've got all this growth happening above the anti-foul line. Around. So that's the black scum I was talking about that we seem to have. For some reason at Saldanha we just developed this terrible black scum around the bottom of the boat. And mixed in with that are these tiny barnacles. How does the anti-foul itself look?
I haven't looked.
But that should be okay. The anti-foul
It should be.
up until now has been perfect.
I don't see why it should be an issue. I think just here it's just so bad because, like you said, anti-fouling is not high enough. All the other times we've gone down on Mykonos and that, anti-fouling has been okay. When I went through on the tender the other day at Saldanha, also I could pretty much just wipe the stuff off by hand. So it's definitely doing its job. Just unfortunately here, where, as you say, the anti-fouling is not painted on, it's a bit of a pain in the bum.
I would have liked to have sent the GoPro down with Denver, but again that thing's flat. I don't know why I'm getting all these errors on the GoPro.
So as we mentioned when we got the duck the first time, we noticed that the transom was a bit high. So one of our numerous jobs, we're going to have to slightly alter the transom. We're going to lower it out a bit, drop the engine down. But what we did notice yesterday when we were coming back from shore in some fairly rough water, that the motor came loose and it actually ended up shooting up and shifting off the transom. So just for now, at least, we're going to be shifting it back into the right place, making sure all the clamps and everything are all nice and tight, making sure that's nice and secure. So when we get back to Saldanha, we can then pull it up, scrub it, have a look at the engine and all that, make sure we don't lose the engine on the way. So yeah, should be quite easy. Just loosen the clamps.
Well, then let's just rigged up a harness here and a to hold the engine up so that if it does shift, we don't want to drop it in the water. It'll hold itself up. There, sort of in the center. Looks about good. More or less in the middle there.
Yeah.
Theoretically good to go, but it is a modification that we need to get done before we leave, just to drop the height of the engine. So it's the morning of our return to Saldanha, leaving this beautiful place. Rained most of the night. Pretty glum out there. Very windy. Had 24 hours of probably 25 knots of steady wind. Very rough sea. So this is a nice change. And at least we get to go back to Saldanha in good conditions. Denver and I decided to do one last trip across the bay because we had seen a little hidden private beach across there that we wanted to go and see before we left. Kraalbaai, the bay itself, is just a small part of the big West Coast National Park, and on the bay there's a little area here that is allocated to houseboats, and these are the houseboats owned by the national park that are rented out to visitors. And then it was time to head back to Saoirse, back to Saldanha, back to boat work. Just leaving Kraalbaai now. It's our first anchor pull up, and totally out of the blue we were hit by a squall. So needless to say, our anchor pull up was not very successful. Oh, it was a bit of a nightmare. We were very I was on the controls, and Denver and Robin were controlling the anchor and giving me instructions and trying to get it. I was trying to carry out the instructions, and I'm not very good at using the reverse on the different motors, but we got it done. That was a baptism by fire, and a message from the universe saying that we have a lot of practicing. Denver's at the helm now, taking us home. We're tucked up nice and warm after we were all soaked to the bone in that squall that blew through. So we're going to be crossing the channel shortly, crossing the bay, and that's going to be the shallowest part, just about the shallowest part that we'll be across. Drops to sometimes 1.5 or even 0.5 or even a little shallower than that. So go across very slowly and just keep an eye out on everything. Robin's keeping an eye out. Cross to that side and then head on across to there, down through there. He's so chuffed that seeing the dolphins seem to have become a standard part of our trips nowadays. I can't think of a better way to end such a lovely weekend. Thank you for watching the video. If you'd like to follow our journey, please don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so that you get notified every time we put out a new video. Thanks again.